Hi everybody, I am Casey, and thank you for being here with me and my cat, who you cannot see because he is right off camera. We're here to talk about what we watched last week. Well, in this case, last 2 weeks, since I was out of town and didn't have much to talk about last week. We started last time we did this right after I got off. I pretty much went right to a screening of Kung Fu Panda 4, which I really enjoyed. It sounded just like a lot of people were a little more disappointed in Kung Fu Panda 4, which is disappointing to me. It was definitely different from the other ones, but what it did differently, I think it did well. Instead of doing a whole bunch of Furious 5 antics, we instead got buddy dad comedy with Panda Dad and Goose Dad. So yeah, I really enjoyed what we got in Kung Fu Panda 4. It's a movie about change and accepting change and learning to become a teacher. Follows the tradition of the Kung Fu Panda movies of being very well animated, with great action set pieces, and with really heartfelt messages. If it's any indication how much we liked it, my spouse, who had never seen any of the Kung Fu Panda movies, walked out of this going, "Oh, that was good. That was much better than I was expecting." Which, yeah, the Kung Fu Panda movies have been consistently great. And the morning after that, I decided to finally put on Warcraft because I think it was on Amazon Prime, and I wanted something to watch. And full disclaimer, I do not play the Warcraft games, the World of Warcraft games that these movies are based off of, or this movie is based off of. But I enjoyed the movie a lot. I'm really sad we're not getting any more of it. I really like Travis Flamel's performance. I think it is really well animated with these great action set pieces that takes a lot of big swings with characters and what they do with their characters, but a lot of it doesn't come together and mesh in the end. Either way, I definitely don't think it was a waste of time, and I'm truly disappointed we didn't get to see what comes next. A thing I didn't love about this movie is all those great action set pieces all kind of just end suddenly. Like, either a magic man waves his hand and everybody dies, or someone just comes in and swoops everybody away and it's done. And action climaxes could use a little bit of work, but otherwise, I think Warcraft was a really solid movie. I'm really disappointed we're not getting more. And then for school, because I'm going back to school, getting my associates finally. For that, I'm writing a paper on stereotypes in Hollywood, and Celluloid Closet is a documentary I'd seen a while ago. It's relevant to the paper I was writing. So I was very happy to put Celluloid Closet back on. It's an informative and sometimes emotional interview documentary that just chronicles the subtext of queer characters, and more often than not, the subtext is being given to you by the people who are actually portraying the characters or writing the characters. It's really interesting, a great documentary, and it's a beautiful thing that exists. We watched Mimic, which is Guillermo del Toro's first big studio production, and you can definitely tell, honestly, it feels like something that could be on the Sci-Fi Channel. Everything that makes it Guillermo del Toro is just kind of stripped away. And what is Mimic about? Radioactive cockroaches that can turn into people. I think everything that this movie does great, and all of the atmosphere stuff and all of the sewer stuff, I think it does a lot better. I think Guillermo del Toro is going to do a lot better in Blade 2 if you haven't seen Blade 2. That being said, I like this exists. I'm going to definitely put on Mimic 2 and 3 to check them out at the very least, see where it goes. Yeah, let's see what happens. What did we watch next? Road to Singapore. Okay, I was not super familiar with either Bing Crosby or Bob Hope's comedy style. I heard a lot of good things about the Road to movie, especially since they inspired a lot of the DreamWorks animated movie Road to El Dorado, which everybody loves. It's become so much of a cult classic. Road to Singapore, though, is not like Road to El Dorado. It is just two grumpy white men complaining about their trip. Can't wait for, I think there's 7 of those. Yeah, right after Road to Singapore, We went on a trip to a con, so thank you for D&G for hosting us for an awesome Dungeons & Dragons convention. I had a lot of fun there. But when we got back, and while I was over there, I got to catch up with... I didn't catch up, I got to rewatch The Owl House a little bit, which is one of my absolute favorite animated series. So if you're unfamiliar with The Owl House is a very Narnia-esque series about Luce the human who gets transported to the demon realm, which, think of the demon realm as like a Narnia, except everything's horrific and ghoulish, but still kind to you. Like, the world wants to destroy you, but the people there are nice, or at least trying to be nice. Everybody there is magic and witches. It has a lot of similarities and it's compared a lot to Harry Potter as well. I think a lot of what The Owl House does, it takes the themes of Harry Potter, and I think it takes a lot of those themes and does them a lot better, in my opinion. I think The Owl House, especially through the second season and those final 3 episodes that comprise season 3, are beautiful, and the series isn't perfect. There's a lot of Disney meddling, and of course the last 3 movies the last 3 episodes, entire season truncated into 3-hour-long episodes, which does hamper it, but what it gets across really well. Beautifully animated, it tells great romances. I find the characters to be humorous. A lot of people love or hate the show based on the character Hootie, so I hope you can get over Hootie if you don't like him, and if you do, Hootie Hoot. Then I wanted to watch a King Arthur story. I was feeling very Arthurian and medieval, and I hadn't watched Camelot, and I'd heard it got a bunch of nomination buzz back in the day, and I kind of went on the movie based on that, and boy, I went into it thinking it was just a Richard Harris-led adaptation of a King Arthur story, but oh boy, did I learn quick that it's a musical penned by the same writer who wrote my favorite trash fire production, Paint My Wagon, which is about Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin, who are definitely partners. Clint Eastwood's name is literally partner, having a wife together and having a wonderful polyamorous relationship in a musical form. Camelot is equally as horny, the highlight being the song The Lusty Month of May.
It's May, the lusty month of May, that lovely month when everyone goes blissfully astray.
This production really kind of drags, though. It's not as funny as I would like it to be. The majority of the songs are not nearly as memorable. There's little excitement and tension throughout it. There's a lot that this movie brought to the world that I'm very happy exists. But I will probably, next time I watch this, drink my own bottle of wine. Yeah, I'm happy a lot of this exists. That's something that was not safe or fun was Bridge of Dragons. I definitely watched this movie and I paid attention to it throughout, but for the life of me, I cannot remember anything about this movie. There's a princess. It stars Dolph Lundgren, and Shao Kahn from the original Mortal Kombat movie is the bad guy. That is all I remember. Pretty sure there's a helicopter in it, but even that I am not positive about. I know there are fans of this movie. I'm glad you exist, but I am not one of them. Something that I found a lot easier to consume, something that not only was it shorter, I just think it moves a lot quicker, which is A Bucket of Blood. It's a Dick Miller-led Roger Corman horror story, just about Dick Miller doing some murders because he's a crazy artist. It's a tropey thing of taking our profession so seriously, or taking what we want to do so seriously. It's very Spree, that horror movie that came out a few years ago from the guy from Stranger Things. I can't remember your name, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a really short horror movie. There's not a whole lot of blood. It's one of those late 60s things that I'm sure you have an idea in your mind of how tame it is, and it is that tame. But it's only an hour long. You don't have a whole lot to lose. And what I think it does really well. I'd highly recommend Bucket of Blood. I think it's streaming on Shudder. That's where I watched it, but I'm sure you can watch it a lot of places. And we continued our little Silence of the Lambs Hannibal Lecter series watch through with Hannibal this week. The continuing adventures of the big bad people eater Hannibal Lecter. There are some good performances that are weighed down by weird pacing and cinematography that feels akin to Law and Order or CSI. Some odd or bland performances kind of cement this movie for me as the one where Ray Liotta eats his own brain. There's still far more I like in this movie than I don't, though. Then we have Humanoids from the Deep, which I think the creature effects are outstanding, and they shine in a picture that would otherwise be known as what you thought the creature from the Black Lagoon was about before you actually saw it. If I had just heard the title, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, I would have thought that movie was Humanoids from the Deep and not the timeless classic that is Creature from the Black Lagoon. I like that this exists a lot, but I did end up checking my watch throughout, unfortunately. Something kind of the opposite problem, though. I like this movie a lot, and I didn't check my watch throughout, but the editing is so crazy. Slayers from 2022. Thomas Jane is just punishing vampires as if they took out his family on a private island. It's fun, but it's really over-edited. It's in the action horror genre, which is a genre match that we don't get a whole lot, unfortunately. I think the movie is just so crazy over-edited, it practically gave me like a brain aneurysm at some points, especially during the ending, where it's just constantly things flashing on the screen and foghorns. But I really like that this exists. I really like what Thomas Jane was doing throughout. And then finally we have Ghostbusters Afterlife. I finally got a chance to watch this because I missed it when it came out in theaters 3 years ago now. And I really do regret missing this in theaters because the cast and crew put together a beautiful homage that equally opens the door to more that also opens the door for more of the characters that we really loved in this movie. That I think this is a motion picture that genuinely captures the excitement and tone of the 80s movie, and it also is firmly planted in the here and now. I really like that this exists. I don't think it was perfect. I think the entire movie stopped when the original Ghostbusters showed up in a way that was to its detriment, but I also don't love the original Ghostbusters. But I really liked Afterlife, and I'm really excited for Frozen Empire. So yeah, that is everything we have watched the last couple of weeks. Thank you for being here. I think I absolutely plan on having something up next week, because we are not stopping.